Hey there, excited to share another book with you at the RTD Book Club. And so this book here, it's a short book, originally published in 1896 by James G. Patterson. And in doing a little research as to who this gentleman was, he was the president of Travelers Insurance Company. And so he took it upon himself to basically dive into some of the monetary issues that they were having during his tenure as president of a insurance company. And so it has a lot to do with the people's money, which historically has been silver. And so in this book, he lays out a lot of different detailed information into, intrinsic value and even how insurance premiums were paid in silver and some of his thoughts with that and how certain monetary acts demonetized silver, yet it was still a primary and useful uh, medium of exchange as far as it being money. And so this book here, I think, is very unique in the fact that he lays out a lot of detailed historical information and along with graphs and charts and things like that to really give you an inside look at to the days and time during his era. And once again, this is just another monetary piece to help you as a listener and a reader of this book to gain a better understanding of the historical aspects of gold and silver as currency once again. And so I'm a firm believer that if you know your history, you're able to predict and feel more comfortable in regards to the future, knowing that things tend to repeat themselves. And right now, if you watch some of the RTD news interviews as well as some of the RTD interviews with prior guests, gold and silver being a historical source of money is still relevant today, just not used on a day-to-day basis as far as a medium of exchange. But let's dive into the book a little bit. So here we have the book. It's a free open source copy of the book off the internet. I actually grabbed a hold of it and had my team basically just rewrite it for the most part. And then I tried my best to keep it as original as possible as far as not correcting as many of the typing errors that were included in this book here. And so the cover, of course, is something I did myself. But other than that, the book is as original as it was when it was first printed and written in 1896. And it was actually located in the University of California Library somewhere on their shelves until it was made into a digital copy within the last decade or so. And so just to thumb through the book, definitely it is a great read to educate yourself. But he starts off talking about, the economic questions of the day are 1,000 times more important than the welfare of the people at the large than any partisan interest which they may have in the distribution of political patronage. So a lot of of that old English or early English rather lingo here. It's pretty much a easy read. As I mentioned, he goes through a lot of historical stuff here. So I'll thumb through it and just highlight some of the things that I found to be interesting. Talks about the exchange, commercial exchange, dealing with silver, of course, and gold. Talks about value, investments, savings banks, trust companies, insurance companies, states, private persons holding an enormous volume of bonds issued by state. And another thing is he talks about just how during this time the concept of paper and fiat currency really becoming um, of topic as far as being used as money, and people at that point beginning to stray away from depending upon gold and silver and allowing themselves to basically use fiat currency. And so just to thumb through a little bit more, the biggest chunk and the most detailed is at the very end. But he talks about intrinsic value, artificial values, once again, more pricings in comparison to with the franc, and talks a lot about the European economy and how it impacted and affected us here. But more important, I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom, and that's where the the juice or the meat of everything is, and it's found in these tables here. And I think from a historical standpoint, there's a couple of things here worth mentioning, and one being, let me find it. Do, 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 do. Commercial ratio of silver to gold each year since 1687. 1687. So it's in 1687, ratio was 14.94 to 1. And then it ended up being in 1896 30.32. So within that long historical time frame right there, it lists the silver to gold ratio at this point, and as of today it's 1 to 70 or so, if I'm not mistaken, or near that. So just goes to show how distorted the ratio is. And so this is just another historical aspect of how historically it's always been, as of here, 14 to 30. Well, not 30 right there is on the high end because silver was demonetized. So that's why that's that. And then here, briefly, I want to actually walk you through some of the summary of the monetary events since 1786. And so it mentions here in 1786 the establishment of the double standard of the United States with a ratio of 1 to 15 to 25. That is on the basis of 123.134 grains of fine gold for a half eagle or $5 piece, and 375.64 grains of fine silver for the dollar without any actual coinage. And so this is even prior to the Act of 1792, when they were actually, defining what would be considered a dollar. So here we have the ratio set at 1 to 15.25, and 375.64 grains of fine silver was considered a dollar. And so once again, the Federal Reserve note was nowhere in mention at this point because it was nowhere in existence. And the concept of central banking was not something that the people, wanted or cared for, because as you may know, they abolished the first two central banks. So once again, historical timeline from 1786, it walks you through a lot of monetary events that took place throughout the world. It says discovery of gold mines in Australia. What else do we have here? Adoption of French monetary system by Italy, where silver was 61 and 7/16. Admission of Greece into the Latin Union. Adoption of the French monetary system, replacing of silver standard in Germany by the gold standard in 1871. The Coinage Act, coinage in 1873 of gold and pieces of 5, 10, and 20 mark pieces. So once again, it's an entire timeline of about 3 to 4 different pages of just walking you through what was considered money for hundreds of years. And so just a little food for thought, a little something to think about. Definitely a great book, definitely worth your read, and most importantly, it's free. Monetary System of the United States. From 1786, it gives you a whole walkthrough of what was considered money in our country. Too much to read, but definitely it's here for you to read and for your enjoyment. Once again, this is some free information for you put together to help you become more monetarily aware. Hope you enjoy it. Leave me a comment below, and most definitely, there's no point in having knowledge if you're not sharing it with other people. So I want to encourage you to share it with those that need to know this information. And once again, looking forward to bringing you more RTD news and updates and monetary information. Until we meet again.